Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to talk about the paradox of more complicated models meaning less variety overall. Before we get into this proper, I want to say a quick thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. We'll be hearing more from them later on, and now we're just going to have a little chat, because I've been getting quite excited, alright? The new Chaos Space Marines cult stuff looks fantastic, and now I've seen rules for them, and they look kind of cool. I'm genuinely on the fence about just going all in on mad cults of possessed and mutated maniacs with weird things sprouting out of their bodies. It's very difficult not to just go all in on this. Possessed Chaos Space Marines are some of the coolest stuff that the Chaos Space Marines have, both in concept and now in execution, and that has also been assisted by the fact that I've had my eye on the Gal Vorback pretty much since they were first released. I don't know how I've managed to not buy them yet. I don't think I've bought them. I don't think I have. They might be in my giant box of shame that we haven't looked in yet, actually. Oh no, now I don't know whether I own them or not. That's quite bad. You'd think that I would know whether I own that or not, but I don't. Uh-oh. Anyway, they are one of the best things that Games Workshop has made, in my opinion. They are absolutely fantastic miniatures that are the perfect blend of well, Space Marine and demonic entity. I really like them, and when it comes to the new Cultists, I think they've properly nailed those as well. I mean, come on, one quick flick through these, and how could I possibly not love them? They are horrific. They tick all the boxes. We've talked about them before, maybe not that guy quite so much, but most of these tick all the boxes for me. We've talked about them before when they were first shown off. They have the right blend of madness, of chaos, of body horror. They look grim, they look gruesome, they do not look like they're having a good time, but they also each look very, very unique. The same can be said for the Torments. The Torments have a nice amount of body horror going on. They look extremely chaotic, extremely random in their incarnation, especially things like that. Like, that guy is really out there. Really, really out there. That looks like the thing coming through out of the warp into reality via this dude's body doesn't even know what it is to begin with. This particular one, in some ways, I think breaks the mold slightly, because this has a discernible structure, right? It looks like it's a humanoid creature, and it's sprouting out of a humanoid creature. The same cannot be said for this. There are weird legs in weird places. Where's its torso? Does it have two torsos? It might well do. It's really hard to tell. That is like chaos incarnate, as is that. And again, these are all super unique. Now, of course, it's a good thing that they're unique. It's a good thing that they are instantly recognisable, that they're not just clones of the same thing over and over again. Them being unique is what makes them so fun, so interesting, and so visually appealing. But it does mean that it severely cuts down on variety. However, something that does not have a lack of variety is Skillshare. How is that? How is that for a segue? Of course you'll have heard of Skillshare before because you watch all of my videos and you are a loyal and dedicated viewer. But on the off chance you haven't, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. Whether you want to get fancy with photography, learn how to edit short reels for your social media, or even learn how to create illustrations of your very own, Skillshare has got the course for you. This may seem like something of a left field choice, but I'm currently going through the Music Theory for Songwriters course by Mike Barnes. See, a while ago I did start writing music and recording stuff. And then that kind of fell by the wayside, and I kind of want to get back into it now that I've got a little bit more free time. Skillshare is of course ad-free, and there are new premium classes launched every week, so there's always something new to pick up. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you very much to Skillshare for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to talking about some weird lads. So you've got these unique models, you've got these unique sculpts, where as soon as you see it, you know what it is, and you know that it is completely different to the model standing next to it. You have something that is very visually separate from everything else, that has its own distinct silhouette, which is great in terms of having those kind of chaotic, mutated models. The downside is that you can't then repeat that without it being incredibly obvious. Now, of course, repetition in armies isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you look at Imperial Guard, in fact, if you look at any army that could be built as a horde of infantry, if you look at, like, infantry-heavy marine armies, yes, there are a lot of similar poses, there are a lot of similar models, but in the context of that army, it works. No one's going to look at a whole bunch of Space Marines and go, oh, well, that's kind of boring because you've got 3 of the same model there. I mean, overall, Space Marines look like Space Marines. There's very little to distinguish them from each other visually at range, and that's fine, because that fits within the context of that force. Not every Space Marine is going to have something that is immediately and obviously different to the Battle Brother standing next to him, just like the Imperial Guard. You're not going to have one conscript that looks amazingly different compared to the next conscript. They're given a uniform, they're given a certain type of armour, or a certain type of flak, they're given a certain type of gun, and they're on their way. Within the context of those, it doesn't matter. But that's where the main issue with the Torments and the Mutants comes in, because within the context of those, there shouldn't be any repetition. And that's the issue. That's the problem with it. You've got these great models that look fantastic and perfectly embody what they should be. But you have to have infinite variety for those to work within the context of what they are. If you've got 4 of the same dude, 4 of the same guy with like the rib splitting and these bizarre kind of flesh and metal hooks coming out from the body, that then becomes less chaos, it becomes less random, it becomes less of a sudden surge in demonic power flooding through someone and more of just an accepted thing, something that is no longer special due to the repetition. In the context of chaos, you should have something that's different every single time, because it's chaos, and there shouldn't be a uniform approach to creating a Torment or a Mutant. It should be exactly what it looks like. A random burst of body parts, a sudden swelling or tentacles ripping out of certain parts of the body. Those tentacles could come from the shoulder, or the chest, or the neck, or the stomach, or the eye socket. There should be any number of places that those mutations could occur. Same thing with the Torments. When something is bursting out of the mortal's body into reality, there should be an infinite number of variations, there should be an infinite number of different types and different injuries and different limbs that show up. But that's not actually feasible to do for Games Workshop. They can't just sit there and go, okay, well, we've come up with the idea of having the Mutants and the Torments, and what we want to do is we want to have it so that no one has a single repetition, because that fits the context of the army, whereas having the same 5 models or the same 3 models over and over again absolutely doesn't fit, because it's not appropriate for what chaos is and how the warp behaves. But they're not going to do that, because that would not make enough to make it worth doing. To make it truly unique and to make it so that every single one is different would require a vast amount of time. It would require a vast amount of resources to actually get all of those out, because instead of having 1 box of mutants, you should have enough boxes that if someone wanted to fill a battlefield full of them, there wouldn't be a single repetition. That's not feasible. They're never going to do that, and I don't blame them for not doing that. But it does kind of highlight the issue really kind of perfectly, that the more unique and interesting a model gets, the less variety you get by default. You can't have something that is totally unique and then expect to see loads of other things that are similar but unique as well, because that's not going to be how Games Workshop operates for any of this. Like, it's one of those things where the more specialist they make something, or the more unique they make it, the less feasible it is to make other versions, but also the more realistic and the more immersive it would be if they did. It's like a weird balancing act where you kind of need things that are mostly different, but not too different, because then it doesn't matter if you've got more of them, to enable the fact that you've then got like more variety overall, or at least visually from a distance it feels as though you've got more variety even though you've got the same, because the models aren't quite as striking and have as distinct silhouettes at a distance. It's weird and interesting, and there's no real way around it. The only thing you can really do is kit bash and convert. The only thing you can really do is take the models and mess about with them, which is what I will do. But in some cases, it's not going to be easy to do that. There are some models that are super locked into the way they look, and converting them and kit bashing them is going to be a bit of a nightmare. But if you want to run a whole army of these things, and you want them to be as truly chaotic as they should be, that's kind of the only option that you're going to have. A little bit rambly, but I hope you get what I meant. Anyway, Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring the video. Thank you very much to you for watching the video. If you feel like clicking any of the things, Patreon will subscribe, click it if you like, you don't have to. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.